Hi, and welcome to another presentation from your business tutor, learning your way, anytime, anywhere. One of the most important factors that has influenced society and business over the last 30 years has been the effect economic activity, and carbon emissions in particular, have had on pollution and climate change. This is why today's presentation on ethical production is so important, as it will look at environmental measures organisations have introduced to address these issues. Okay, so what are we going to learn in this presentation? Well, first of all, we're going to find out what ethical production is. Then we're going to investigate the environmental methods used in ethical production. And then finally, we're going to explore the advantages and disadvantages of those environmental methods. Okay, let's get started by asking, what is ethical production? Ethical production refers to a way of producing products that treats all those involved in the process fairly and ensures no damage comes to the environment or society. In short, what this means is that a business will look at three main areas in order to reduce the negative impact of its operations. These being the sourcing of raw materials and supplies, the distribution and delivery of raw materials and products, and finally the processes used to make and manufacture products. However, although each of these areas contribute to ethical production, it is important to realise that the methods implemented can be subdivided further into environmental and non-environmental measures. So with that in mind, let's turn to ask what environmental measures could be used in the sourcing of supplies. One of the simplest ways a business can source raw materials and components environmentally is to select a supplier that can demonstrate it meets certain environmental standards. For example, finding a supplier that is able to demonstrate that the raw materials they offer are from a sustainable source. This is good because it ensures a business will always have access to raw materials, as the supplier ensures what is used is replaced for future use. However, although this ensures future supplies, a business may need to pay more for its raw materials, especially if its supplier also has in place measures which reduce its use of water and energy to protect the environment. In that, introducing such measures is expensive, meaning a supplier will have to charge higher prices. However, by using such a supplier, a business will be able to significantly reduce the carbon footprint of its product, which of course can then be used to publicise its environmental credentials, which appeals to many customers. Nevertheless, as well as these measures, a business may also look to source supplies that come in limited packaging, as this means it will be sending less waste to landfill, which could reduce its costs, as businesses are charged for the disposal of rubbish. However, it does need to be remembered that if the packaging is not strong enough, that supplies may be damaged when transported, meaning they won't be usable in production, which could cause delays. Given this, a business may look for a supplier who can provide stronger packaging, but which is recyclable or biodegradable, especially if that supplier is also willing to take the packaging back once it has been opened. This is a big advantage because, once again, it minimises waste, but also reduces the pollution caused by packaging such as plastic that does not biodegrade. However, although a supplier may charge a business more for using such packaging, it will help it achieve a better image amongst customers and pressure groups that are environmentally concerned. Okay, let's now move on to ask what environmental measures could be used to support distribution and delivery. There are many ways in which distribution and delivery can be made more environmentally friendly, but probably the most straightforward is to make sure supplies are sourced locally, as then a business will not have to use as much fuel collecting what they want. However, a problem with this is that local suppliers may not have everything a business requires, and the price they charge may be significantly greater than the business would pay if they purchased raw materials from abroad. Given this, if a business decides to use suppliers located further away, it may look instead into using delivery vehicles that are more environmentally friendly. For example, ones that are electric or which are designed in a way that makes them more aerodynamic. As before, this will reduce a business's costs, as they will be using less fuel, but also will help their public image as their carbon footprint is falling. However, it does need to be remembered that replacing old vehicles with new, fuel-efficient ones is expensive. As such, many organisations may look into sharing transportation with other firms so that when containers are moved by road or sea, that they are full, which is a more environmentally friendly way to distribute items. However, although this will allow a business to save money as delivery costs can be shared, it may cause a number of administrative issues in that both organisations will have to coordinate when they want supplies. And finally, if sharing transport is not a viable option, a business may decide to purchase supplies in greater bulk so that fewer deliveries are required, which reduces fuel usage and pollution, as fewer vehicles will be on the roads. Nevertheless, a business does need to be careful with this, as purchasing in bulk can result in items going out of date and having to be thrown away, which increases waste. Okay, let's now look at environmental measures that could be used when manufacturing products. One of the best ways to be more environmental in the way products are made is to use greener forms of energy such as solar or wind. In fact, if a business has these sources on site, it can end up generating enough energy that it can even sell back excess capacity to the grid. However, although generating energy saves money in the long term, it does need to be remembered that it is reliant upon the correct weather conditions and requires a significant upfront investment to install it. Another way a business can improve its manufacturing environmental credentials is to use more up-to-date modern machinery which uses less energy. Further still, if this can be coupled with a smart factory that switches off lighting and equipment automatically when not in use, it means energy costs will be dramatically lowered. However, as before, the purchase and installation of such technology is expensive. But if it means a business reduces its levels of greenhouse gases, it may avoid fines being imposed by the government for breaching carbon emission targets. Nevertheless, given the cost of the measures discussed so far, many businesses may look for cheaper ways of manufacturing products environmentally. For example, many will decide to introduce new production techniques which require the use of fewer scarce resources, such as water. However, where this is not possible, a business may instead look to reuse or recycle waste materials in greater amounts. This can be really useful as using less of or reusing a resource allows a business to save costs, but also can result in it achieving environmental awards, which can then be used as a promotional tool to appeal to customers. Having said that, reusing or recycling waste does take time, as it has to be collected, sorted and then processed into workable material. And even when it is, sometimes what is reconstituted isn't of very good quality, meaning it can't be used in production. However, in terms of supporting a business's public image, reusing and recycling waste is incredibly viable, and is why some businesses will look to find alternative uses for the waste they recycle if it can't be used in production. And finally, many businesses will manufacture their products using minimal packaging, which is recyclable and includes promises such as whenever their product is purchased, a donation is made to an environmental charity. As you might expect, such an approach very much appeals to customers and therefore can give a business a competitive advantage. However, using less packaging that is made of recyclable materials can make a product look of an inferior quality, meaning a lower price will have to be charged to attract customers. Okay, so what did we learn in this presentation? Well, first of all, we found out what ethical production is. Then we went on to investigate environmental methods used in ethical production. And then finally, we explored the advantages and disadvantages of those environmental methods. The evidence on climate change and that it has been caused by human economic activity is strong. It is therefore positive that so many organisations are now addressing their role in this international issue by introducing measures and policies to reduce their carbon emissions in order that a greener future is achieved for all.